Hi, I'm Christian. I'm a scientist, but I'm also somebody that suffered with TMJ in the past. What is going on with TMJ? Why do so many people have this problem? Is there a solution? What's the real cause of it? Well, I want to share with you what I learned about TMJ, how I got better, and hopefully what I share today will help you if you're struggling with the same condition. So this is me as a baby, normal birth, normal childhood. This is me a bit older. This is me a bit older, me playing outside. We used to build a lot of dens. I grew up in the UK countryside in West Yorkshire. Now, like most children, my teeth started to crowd as I got older. So there wasn't enough room in my mouth for my teeth. And at the time, the dentist would tell us that was genetic that caused that. So I had some teeth removed around the age of 12. And then when I got into my 20s, I had another tooth removed and the teeth straightened with metal wires, which is what a lot of orthodontists do. And then, unfortunately, I got TMJ, or at least that's what the diagnosis was. And what is that? Well, it affects millions of people every year. And, the definition really is talking about, well, it's to do with your jaw joint, and it can lead to teeth grinding. Or maybe there's a trauma that's caused this, and it can, or maybe it's stress or it causes stress, but it's a problem here. Now, for me, the symptoms were a daily pain, kind of a stiff jaw, it's difficult to chew sometimes. There was muscle tightness, not just in the jaw area, but the shoulders, the back. There was dizziness. I couldn't leave my house for 6 weeks at one point. I couldn't drive. I couldn't do any of the usual activities I like to do, like dancing or working out at the gym. It wasn't fun. So after they finished straightening my teeth, it took about a year, but then I started getting migraines, and then I started to get all these symptoms. And, I went to see a few different people, and they told me that we think it's to do with your jaw. So now the recommended treatments for TMJ are first they say, eat soft foods, apply heat cold to face, jaw stretching, anti-inflammatory, self-management. They go on to say, well, maybe behavioral health approaches by a psychologist, physical therapy, prescription medications, intraoral appliances, complementary treatments. And they go even further, arthroscopy, prototherapy, and then they even talk about surgery. Now, personally, if you've got TMJ, you've got like a stiff jaw, you've got jaw problems, problem with your face, I wouldn't recommend any of these treatments, really. I'm going to go into the reason why. Now, interestingly, my UK orthodontist told me to see a neurologist. That wasn't very helpful. So when I started to get all these problems, I rang him up. He wouldn't even come to the phone, actually. This is a guy in Harrogate in West Yorkshire, England. Wouldn't come to the phone, and just shouted to the receptionist, tell him to go see a neurologist. So he's telling me that this was in my head. I'll talk a bit more about this later, but I think partly why so many people have this problem and no real help for it is because of the industry, of the health system, dental health system itself. So anyway, I spent the next 2.5 years really struggling. Difficult to see how I could spend the rest of my life in this condition. Really trying to understand why is this so bad? Why is this affecting me this way? A lot of people have TMJ, but they're not affected this badly. What's going on? I started, going around Europe. I was going to go to America at one point just to try and get someone to help. I saw many, many different dentists, and they gave me all these different things like plastic splints to wear in the mouth, but these were just like putting a plaster over a gaping wound. It didn't solve the problem, didn't explain the problem. And eventually I found Dr. Silvia Martin Neves, who is a absolutely awesome orthodontist based in Lisbon, Portugal. And let's delve into her treatment a little bit, because what Silvia does actually flips the entire kind of approach on its head, and really explains what I think the real cause of TMJ is, and this is increasingly being recognized. So I found an answer. So I'm going to talk about what I think it really is, and then we'll talk about Silvia's treatment, because if you're somebody that's struggling, maybe you can find someone who does a similar treatment or go see Silvia. What is it really? Well, look, I don't have time to make a huge 1 hour long video on this. I'm very busy, but this is a great starting point. Read this book. It's called Breath by James Nestor. It all starts with the breath. Now, what we're talking about, the breath. Well, a lot of us don't breathe through our nose as much as we should. So imagine you're a young child and you're mouth breathing. Well, it actually affects how your face develops. Also take into account, and he covers this in the book, that since the Industrial Revolution, we eat a lot of soft foods. We used to eat a lot of hard foods. We also live in a different environment. We used to be outside, walking around in nature a lot of the time. We'd have to have a good posture. We would be breathing through our nose. We'd be more alert. Whereas now, we've got central heating and we're slouched a lot. We have bad posture. So there are a lot of environmental factors that are affecting how our faces develop. And actually, that is the start of why teeth crowd, as far as my understanding. So genetics is, of course, involved in this, in how our body responds to the environment. But the actual cause, I think a lot of it is to do with environment. So again, soft foods and mouth breathing all leads to the face getting longer and thinner, and then there's less room for the teeth. Now, traditional orthodontic approaches would just remove those teeth or straighten them with metal wires, but the problem remains. And so, as I say, starts with breathing, not just genetic, environmental. And actually, if you look at tribes from over, many, many decades ago, and even some tribes left today, they all had perfect teeth. So before all this modernization and modern food and soft foods, they had all their teeth and big mouths and none of the problems we have today, no sleep apnea. And look, so if we look at the facial growth of populations recently, this is kind of what's happened. As you can see on the right here, this lady's face has developed reasonably well. Her chin is kind of in line with the rest of her face. I mean, it's not ideal, but it's pretty good. She's got some cheekbones here. But what you're actually seeing in a lot of population now is this kind of melting phase, so that the chin is back. And this has a number of knock-on effects. It will affect the way our skull, our face grows. And then, of course, you get all these issues with the body. So one thing I remember, first thing I noticed was one leg became functionally longer than the other. And you think, what's going on? And it was very disconcerting at the time. And actually, that was because my pelvis was starting to rotate and one side get higher than the other, as here, because of the way the jaw was being changed. After they removed teeth and straightened with metal wires, they'd actually talk to my skull. So it wasn't my jaw joint that was obviously struggling, but the actual issue was that the orthodontist had completely changed the shape of my skull. Now, I probably was mouth breathing a bit as a child, in the modern effects of chewing fast food and all that stuff. But then you combine that with this orthodontic treatment, which just took out teeth. So it makes this even less kind of stable. And then talk to my midface. You had this whole host of problems. And that's why I was in such a bad state. Another thing that, of course, you end up with forward head posture, because as there's less room in the mouth, so it's not growing in a great way over time. Teeth have been removed because of orthodontic treatment. There's less room. The tongue starts to move back into the throat, but then you can't breathe properly. So then you tilt your head back so you can breathe. But then you can't see properly because now you're looking up. So then you've got to put your head forward like this. You get this posture. And then, of course, a lot of people develop sleep apnea because as they lay down at night, the tongue's blocking the airway. There's not enough room for it. So this is pretty major stuff. It's not just TMJ. This is facial dystrophy, really. And orthodontics in its sort of traditional form does not help or really solve this. I mean, I think functional orthodontics is useful. Definitely. I'll show you that in a minute. But, overall, this is a huge problem. And I don't think people quite realize. Now, look, let's actually look at my face and the treatment, and you can see what I mean in real life. And if you understand this stuff, as you walk around, you'll see that probably 99% of us, something like that, have facial dystrophy to some extent in our modern world. So this was me beginning before I got treatment with Sylvia, and you can see, actually my midface here is quite underdeveloped, and also the jaw is canted. So this is where it really went wrong with the orthodontic treatment. I probably already had some issues here, but this you can't really see, but it's actually completely torqued. So it's going up at an angle here, and it's also 3D. So from back to front, it's twisted as well. So it's kind of, the whole thing's come out of alignment. You can see this cant here. Now, a lot of people have stuff like this and won't suffer as much as I did. I think that's probably the genetics coming in. It's probably just, for each individual, how their body responds. But to me, it was really difficult. You can really see the flatness of my face here, not much cheekbones. This jaw sort of, like mid-face, kind of flat here, underdeveloped, not much room in the mouth, not much room for the tongue to sit on the roof of the mouth where it should be. It's on the bottom of the mouth. So you can really see some of the issues here. You might think this is normal face. It's not. This is an undeveloped face. And so what was the treatment with Sylvia? Well, look, Sylvia is brilliant at this. She, and actually she's, what I've seen online, some people talk about, you might have heard of Mike Mew. There's other people around the world. There's this sort of, some people have been saying you can't treat adults. Well, I'm living proof you can, and Sylvia does treat adults. And I'm going to share some links at the end, but her treatment, the first thing is to actually widen the palate, right? And to pull the face out and up using this mask that you wear at nighttime. So the way that the face has been affected in a negative way, where it's gone back and down, it's now being pulled out and up. And so you wear this mask and you start to pull the maxilla out and also level the occlusal plane. Now, you've got to work with the muscles too. The muscles need to be happy, because muscles are what, again, I'm not an expert in all this, but they're kind of what shape the bone over time. If the muscles are all upset and disconjointed and everything, then your face isn't going to go well. So this is the FGB. This is the second stage, which I wore. I really like the FGB. You wear this again at night. You can wear it in the day as well if you want. And it relaxes all the muscles and it allows everything to stabilize. In a way, it allows the body to guide where the teeth go. And again, people who wear this, their face looks great after they've been wearing it, even just for a few months. And so went from this and this to more like this. You can see how I've got much more cheekbones there, more space in the mouth. I can breathe easier because it opened up my airways. We have actually, after this, I ended up moving to Lisbon and actually getting fixed braces as the third stage. So that was functional orthodontics. And I found after that stage, I could really hold a very good posture. It's easy to keep my neck straight and up. And again, I had probably 90%, 95% less symptoms. I can do all the things I used to like do. And so it's been, that's kind of the treatment. Okay. So just a few points just to finish, because I don't want this to be a long video. Dental healthcare system. Again, my orthodontist told me to see a neurologist. That was, about 10 years ago now. I don't know if things have improved. Hopefully they have. But, when you realize that, traditional orthodontist perhaps isn't really the best treatment for the issues a lot of us have, anything new, particularly the kind of approach Sylvia takes and other professionals around the world take, it does threaten the industry to some extent. It's also much harder to make money out of this kind of approach. So it's not like Invisalign, where they can make a lot of money and do quite not very much. This is a much more specialized treatment. So I guess what I'm saying is, you might need to go beyond mainstream to solve your TMJ. So now I also noticed a lot of things on YouTube. I actually met a guy not so long ago who does a channel. I'm not going to name it, but he's talking about how you can do this stuff yourself. You just need to spend an hour a day doing kind of face pulling. Now, I've never tried this, but I'll be very surprised if that will change the muscles and then the bone for long enough, because you've got, 1 hour a day versus kind of 16 hours by wearing a mask and the brace and seeing a professional like Sylvia. So it's up to you. I mean, maybe you can try this thing. I know it sort of seems like, I want to fix this myself, and maybe that would work, but I just don't think you can compare. I was wearing that mask at night, 12 hours, 16 hours a day. That's really going to change your face, right? It's really going to fix the problem. But face pulling, I'm not convinced. And it worries me that I know this guy charged £1,000 for a course he invented, and, lots of people signing up. And I don't think it's going to help them. But anyway, each to their own, I suppose. What I would say is, whoever you offers to help you with TMJ, look at their patients they've had, ask to see case studies and look at the results. The first thing I did when I met Sylvia was say, can I see your results? And she showed me some things, which, I mean, I'm going to put a link in where one of her presentations she did in Rome last year. It's amazing what she does to people's faces. I mean, people with one eye at a different level to another eye, and she'll literally have corrected it within 6 months. So I looked at her results and I was absolutely blown away, and knew that she was the person who would be able to help me. And she was. Final thing, this treatment for me as an adult, look, as a kid, it's, Sylvia treats a lot of kids, and they're, of course, young faces are a lot more malleable. I think it's an easier treatment when you're younger. So start as young as you can. But as an adult, it's not the easiest. Of course, it's liberating and it can feel great to get better, but it's not always easy. Like, sometimes it'd just be uncomfortable, and I have to go and get an adjustment, or I'd have to go see Sylvia. And I was flying to Portugal every 2 months from England, so it was a challenge. Of course, I was determined to get better, so I kept going. But yeah, it's not really easy. And I still wear an FGB today because we kind of feel like, in my case, that's just going to be needed. And the FGB is like a kind of a night gym. It's like a workout for your face each night, and it's brilliant. So yeah, just to say that it is still a challenge. One thing I didn't say actually about this treatment, and which I think is really cool, is you look better. So, we are primed genetically to, be attracted to healthy development in other humans. And when you see a face that's growing healthy, it's more attractive, more cheekbones, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, that's another major benefit of this. Now, just to finish, if you're interested in Sylvia's work, you can see this is just one of her many presentations. She did this one in Rome last year. Have a look. She goes through case studies, talks about her treatment a bit more, better than I can. And also, if you want to look at her website, myface.pt, do check it out. I wish you all the best on your TMJ journey or facial growth journey. Know that there is people out there that can really help, that can grow your face, even as an adult, and change your life. I hope this helps. Thanks a lot.